Okay, the teacher is looking at me, and I am not doing a very good job. Do you know where I want to be as a 10-year-old, 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning? Asleep. Or watching cartoons. Or eating cereal. But now, my mother has dragged me here every Saturday morning for the past 5 years to Kathak. It's a traditional Indian dance, and you know how there's a law out there that every little blonde girl has to go to ballet class? Well, there's also a mandate out there that every little Indian girl has to go to Kathak. And I hate it. Hate's a strong word. I dislike it. Just like how I dislike how all the Indian clothing is so itchy. And I dislike how all the food is so spicy. And I dislike how every time I meet an Indian adult, they all look the same to me. Now, is that racist? I don't know. Fact of the matter was that I just disliked being part of the Indian bubble. So my first act to go against this was that I was not going back to Kathak next week. Oh no. It's next Saturday morning, and I'm in my PJs. It's 8 a.m., so it's time to go. And that's when I see her. 5'2" and furious. My mother. Her eyes fiery like New Delhi sun. And I was looking at her, and she was looking at me, and I was looking at her, and she was looking at me, and I was still looking at her. And I said, Mama! I am not going to Kathak anymore. And she said, Apagalo, damag kharab hai, main tappad marungi. I don't want to go back. Mat jao, kharab bachcha. Fine. She stormed out, which means I win. I am victorious, and as celebration, I'm gonna go watch some cartoons and eat some cereal. Unspicy cereal. By the time high school had come, I was pretty successfully removed from my Indian heritage. I wasn't going to Hindi class, I wasn't going to Kathak, and I wasn't going to join that Southeastern Asian club at school that my mom really wanted me to be part of. And in high school, I had this really dope, close-knit group of friends. We called ourselves Friday Adventures. We hung out on Fridays, we had adventures. I mean, what more could you ask for? We even had nicknames. We had Squishy, and Kitty, and Shadow, and I got them to call me Coconut. You know, brown on the outside, white on the inside. But my mother, she wanted me to be the Indian stereotype. She had ridiculous standards, like coming home at a reasonable time. Maybe focusing on school a little. And maybe not hanging out with my friends 24/7. Now, looking back, she may have just been being a mom. But at the time, she was trying to put me in the Indian bubble, and I was having none of it. So, Friday night comes along, and I'm with the crew. And we're feeling rebellious and rambunctious, and so we think of the craziest possible thing we could do that night, and then it hits us. we're gonna break into the neighborhood pool. So we gotta sneak out of Shadow's house. Out the window. We could jump out the window. No, second story. Okay, do we have rope? Rope. We could throw it out the window and then scale the side of the house. No rope. Okay, what if one of us sneaks into the garage, takes a car, drives it up to the side of the window, and then we jump on top, and then bam, home free. Nobody has a license. Okay, scratch that. Out the front door it is. Now, Shadow's parents are in the living room, so we have to quietly tiptoe down the stairs and slow open the door. And then we make a break for it. We're running and we're running and we're running, and I see my friends in front of me, and I see the lights from the street lamps passing under my feet. And after a long, gruesome 10-minute journey, we make it to the pool. And it's locked. But we knew that because it's October and it's cold. But we're pretty bad to the bone gang of hooligans over here. So we jump over the fence. Jump over, shimmy, shimmy down, and that's when I see the most breathtaking view in the entire universe. The pool cover. Now, this is not just any old pool cover, guys. This is a pool cover with no adult supervision. So you know what that means. I'm gonna step I remember taking that first step. The cover dipped in a little. And then I took a second and third and fourth and fifth step, and by the time I was in the middle, I was practically dancing. And I looked around at my friends that night, and it felt as if we were in this bubble of people who were self-aware and enlightened. We were detached from like stereotypes and social constructs. We were progressive and accepting, liberal. I mean, what more could you ask for? A lot, actually. But at that night, it felt like enough. A couple years had passed, and I was 17 years old. I was walking into my favorite store, Earthbound. And for anyone who doesn't know what Earthbound is, it's a pretty hippie dippy store. You had incense burners over here, and tapestries over there, and boho bags in the middle. For any wannabe hippie teen living in the suburbs, this was the place to be. And I come here like 3 times a week, so I always notice when something changes. And that day felt different. I was noticing things that were familiar from my life, like Om symbols on boho bags, and Hindu gods like Ganeshji and Vishnu, and clothes that I wore in Kathak. But the strangest thing of all was that people, and more specifically, white people, were buying this stuff. And I know now that selling culture for profit and using it disrespectfully is not an okay thing to do. But we live in a society that idolizes light skin and certain foods and clothing and hobbies and languages. So 17-year-old Gemini needed to see her culture basically get popularized and enough to be in her favorite store. To finally understand that I am so lucky to have been raised with my American and Indian culture. I walked in to Earthbound that day and felt my bubble get popped.